Byron Donalds joins us. The great Byron Donalds. That's how I refer to him. Why do I refer to him as the great Byron Donalds? Because he's unafraid. Because Byron Donalds stands up. Because Byron Donalds has faced it, walked through it, and continues with conviction. Sir, thank you for joining the show. It's much appreciated.
Good to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, I got to get right into this. The 2024 election, look, I'm a news freak. I was a basketball coach, played a long time, but I've been a news freak since I can remember. I feel like for the first time, maybe the second time in my lifetime, this is a crucial presidential election because our nation can go in a very bad direction. How important is this election?
Look, I agree with you, Coach. I'm going to call you Coach because I love basketball. I played it all through middle school and high school, so I'm going to call you Coach. It's a crucial election, and for a number of reasons. One, look, you have a situation where our border's a mess. Right now, under Joe Biden, you have roughly 6 to 8 million migrants in the country on this weird, in my view, illegal asylum process. And because of presidential powers dealing with asylum, he largely could do what he wants. You have our foreign policy issues, which are massive right now because he's weak internationally, and our adversaries know this. You have a serious issue in our economy because he doesn't understand that you can't spend money you don't have, and then you can't send people home and just keep giving them money. So he created a massive inflation, hurting every American. It's terrible because his energy policy only empowers the Chinese and makes energy more expensive here at home. It's devastating because he has agencies that are clearly weaponized against the American people. So this isn't a thing of, oh, we want to cut agency spending. It's no, we want to cut the woke stuff out of these agencies. We just want them to do their job and don't do more. It's terrible because he has no problem with the free speech of the American people being ignored or suppressed. All these things are crucial. And in a country like ours, if you can't speak, if the prices continue to rise out of control, you're not going to have a country for very long. So that's why this election matters more than the others.
I totally agree. Look, is there anything, if you look at it objectively, which maybe you and I can't, I don't know, but is there anything this administration has done right? Is there anything they've done to help this nation?
I really want to think about that before I give an answer. The short answer is no, but I really want to make sure as I'm answering, I'm trying to pay some deference to them. I'm trying to give them an opportunity. I'm gonna say it like this, Coach. It's like watching game film, and you're trying to find what the team does well, and you want to shut that off. But everything's bad. It's all bad.
Yeah, I mean, Obama said it. Never underestimate the ability of Joe Biden to F things up. I mean, it's just what it is.
He did say that, and he was correct. And I think here's the bigger thing with Joe Biden. I don't think he's all there. I think it ebbs and flows from day to day. And listen, that might sound terrible. People might be like, well, man, why are you making fun of this guy? I'm not. I just want the commander in chief, the president of the United States, to be competent, to be with us every single day, to be able to address the media. Have you ever seen a president who you just never hear from? Like, nobody ever hears from him. He never takes questions. He barely gives speeches. If he can, how long can he speak? When he comes to Capitol Hill and do the State of the Union, he starts off strong, and then he slowly ebbs and starts getting tired. And then before you know it, he's just rambling. I've never seen anything like this. And look, I was critical of President Obama. I was too young to even really pay attention to Bill Clinton. But this is a mess.
This is unbelievable. So let me ask you, people ask me this all the time. You see him falling down. You see him slurring, making up words. You see all this kind of stuff. In your view, this is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it. How important is it worldwide that the President of the United States project a strong presence, even one that incites a little bit of fear in other nations?
Oh, it's everything. Because, look, people say, oh, man, the people on the left will be like, you have to have all this experience in foreign policy. And I think you do have to understand certain things and understand who the players are on the international stage. But at the end of the day, in my view, foreign policy is street politics. If the guy who's your adversary thinks you're weak, he's coming after you. He's going to take your lunch. And if he thinks that you're strong, he's got to think twice about it. And also, let me add this. Let's not lose sight of the fact that Joe Biden and his son and his brother have been taking money for years from foreign countries. So how does this work? You're the leader of a country, but you've been taking money from other countries through the back door, and you mean to tell me that you're not compromised? You mean to tell me that the Chinese don't know you were taking money from us? That's not a leverage point. These are serious issues with Joe Biden. That's why he must be defeated in 2024.
I'm a simple person. Is the money we're paying to Ukraine paying off a debt, a bribe debt? Is that what it is?
Actually, I really don't think so in this case. I think what it really is Joe Biden had to do something because he looked ridiculous at the beginning of the Ukraine invasion. Let's go back in time. After the debacle of the Afghanistan withdrawal, so you have that. That's number one. For 6 months, they were amassing troops on the Ukrainian border. Joe Biden didn't do anything. And then you have a situation that when they invade, Joe Biden says, Zelensky, hop on a G5. Why don't you come over here to America? And Vladimir Zelensky goes, no, I'm not doing that. Oh, wait, did I lose you guys? I might have lost you.
No, we're good.
Oh, I'm good?
We're good. No,
okay, I thought
good.
I lost you guys.
We're good.
So then Vladimir Zelensky is like, oh, no, I'm staying. Just give me weapons. Give me bullets. That's what I need. And Joe Biden got shamed into this conflict. That's really what's happened. And now it's become this political thing where, of course, we oppose Vladimir Putin. We don't want countries just being invaded like this. But because of his weakness, this is where we are. And now the money has to be spent to cover up for his weakness. That's really what's going on.
Let me ask you a simple question. The most powerful house or the most protected house, how do we not find who brought Coke into the White House? How do we not find
Listen, man, I don't know, Coach. I just don't know. Oh, Lord. I have no idea. I mean, listen, it's the most secure facility in the world. And for people to understand, the West Wing's not that big. Like it's not like you're going, into Madison Square Garden. I mean, it's just not a very big place. There's a handful of people that move through there consistently. This area in which when President Trump was president, I've walked through there, I think maybe twice through this area. It shouldn't be this hard. I'm very concerned. I talked to a couple of agents the other day, and they were like, man, our rank and file is doing everything we can, but our leadership is a mess. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I feel that across the country. I feel that here in Indianapolis. I have friends that are police officers, and they say the same thing. So let me ask you, you endorsed Donald Trump, which is a big deal for him. Obviously, you're in Florida. DeSantis is in Florida, and you endorsed the guy that, those two are going at each other. Two questions. One, you going to be his running mate? Two, why the endorsement of Trump?
To the running mate question, I have no idea. That is for President Trump and President Trump alone. Look, and I told this team, I'm like, you know what? I just want to win. I'm not really pushing or advocating. I just want to work hard and win, help him get back to the White House. He needs to become the 47th president because we have a lot of work to do. But the reason why I endorsed him is, and we've talked about some of these issues. First, let's take foreign policy. You talk about having strength. He walks in there day one, looks at Vladimir Putin, looks at Vladimir Zelensky, looks at Xi Jinping, looks at the mullahs in Iran, and says, all right, you guys had your fun. This is over. And you know what? They'll be like, oh, yeah, this is the serious guy. This is the guy that Hillary Clinton said was going to put us in World War III. But what really happened was the whole planet was safer and more peaceful with Donald Trump as commander-in-chief. That's one. Two, he's done the job. Listen, in my life, I'm a business guy first, finance guy. I just want the CEO to know what he's doing and to be competent and can execute. He's done that. And so you had a situation where the 45th president, Donald Trump, was very, very successful. COVID happened, the Wuhan lab, the China virus, all that stuff. It set our country back. Americans, they decided, right, wrong, or indifferent, and I think it was a very wrong choice to go with Joe Biden. He's been an absolute disaster. So I look at America, which one do you want? You want 45 or 46? To me, it's not even a question who is better at the job. And then the third thing, and this is no disrespect to Governor DeSantis. I think that he's been a tremendous governor for our state. But we're at a time right now where the guy who becomes our nominee and then our next president, or lady, because, I see you out there, Nikki. I see you out there. I'm not discrediting you. You got to hit the job on day one. No messing around. They usually say you have like 100 days. The first 100 days is the honeymoon. Not with Republican presidents. We need somebody who's going to go in there day one and start moving stuff around. And we have to clean out these federal agencies. It must happen. And you already know that Donald Trump secured our border. It was the most secure it's been in 2 decades. That's why I endorsed him.
I got to ask you, because I'm from Gary, Indiana. And in Gary, Indiana, Hammond, East Chicago, there is voter fraud, period. A good friend of mine taught me how to shoot a jump shot, is currently in hiding. Not in hiding. He left after he was not only indicted, convicted, and was facing sentencing. He said to hell with it. He went to Greece. He's a Greek citizen. He was a councilman, and they all went to jail except for him because he got away and he went to Greece. But anyway, Republicans, do they not? They have to play the game, the voting early, by mail, the ballot harvesting, which is actually legal, which is legal in certain steps. Don't the Republicans have to get in the game with this?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, I'll tell you right now, and again, this is like a sports thing. If the refs aren't calling, hand checking, then you hand check. Because if the other team's hand checking and you're not hand checking, guess what? You're going to lose. It's just that simple. It's really that simple. If the refs aren't calling, over the backs, hey, man, you better start going over the back and be way more aggressive. And we've all seen these games where basketball, which is an elegant game, turns into a football game. It's just body blocking and pushing and shoving. And if you don't engage in that physicality, you're going to lose. So my attitude is, look, in the great state of Florida, in Georgia with their election laws, we have early voting, we have absentee voting, mail-in voting, and we have election days. Very, very secure. In Florida, ballot harvesting is illegal. You're not allowed to do it. Look at what's happened in Florida elections with strong election laws. The voters vote, and the will of the voters is achieved. Nobody's complaining about, oh, this looks funny, this looks fishy. It all comes out. But if you're in California, where ballot harvesting has been the modus operandi for 2 decades, you better get in that game and do it. In Nevada, they ballot harvest in Clark County in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas area, Clark County. You better do it in Nevada. You better do whatever they allow you to do in Arizona, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania. We have to play the game that they're playing. It's just simple as that. If they're throwing elbows, we throw elbows. Not to be nasty. This is about winning.
What's so hard about having legitimate oversight while we count ballots?
Nothing at all. In my view, it should just be, it should be one of those things where you just have full camera view. In 2023, you mean to tell me that we can't have all camera angles in these count rooms and everybody's just sitting there watching the whole thing, on Rumble or YouTube or whatever, open up some election channel X that's running 24/7. You mean to tell me that thing can be watching all corridors at all time? And again, here, I want to be clear. When people are casting their ballot, that's a very private thing. I think people should be able to cast their ballot in privacy. We should not be abusing people or going after people about how they're voting when they're voting. I think that is wrong. There should be a sphere around people when they're doing it. That's why in states like Florida and Georgia, you cannot solicit a voter within 150 feet of the polling location. You got to leave them alone. Let them make their decision. But when the employees are counting, oh no, we got to have cameras everywhere. Everybody should see what's going on. It should be live TV. I mean, the ratings may not be that high, but it will be very interesting.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be a tough watch, but who cares? Just do the thing right. Hey, last thing before I let you go, I want your opinion. I saw Matt Gaetz going after Director Way and asked him a simple question. Are you protecting the Biden crime family? I feel like John Gotti, the Teflon Don, is dead, but we got a new Teflon family, the Bidens. Is the FBI protecting the Biden crime family?
Yeah, I think the political brass is. I also think the political brass of the Department of Justice is definitely doing that. And we talk a lot about Merrick Garland. And look, I think Merrick Garland's got dirty hands on this thing. But also the deputy director at the Department of Justice, I forget her name because it's not totally important, but she's the Svengali over there. She's the one that's making a lot of decisions about what's happening. Actually, in oversight, we're going to have Mr. Shapley, the IRS supervisor who turned whistleblower. He's coming in to testify on Wednesday. Another IRS agent who was on the Hunter Biden case is going to testify and make himself public for the first time. He's going public in our committee on Wednesday. And so I think it is in part Chris Wray in the upper echelons of the FBI, but don't ignore the Department of Justice. And one that doesn't get too much coverage is the political brass at the IRS. We have serious issues in these agencies. It's at the top with these political holdovers who stay year over year. It's with the appointees, especially in this administration. They're a mess. And so what we got to do is we have to have serious reform of the federal agencies. Our country cannot wait for this to happen.
I think everybody would be in agreement. The guy to do that and do it very quickly would be Trump, as you mentioned earlier. I think there's no question about that. I think nobody else would have the nuts to do it, and nobody else would do it as quickly.
No, you're absolutely correct. And let's also be very clear, because the media on the left, they're crazy in their stuff. They always like to project what they're doing on their opponents. This is one of the things that the left likes to do a lot, and they're somewhat good at it. It's one of the few things they're good at is projecting what they're doing. But understand, when Donald Trump took over, did they open up some scaling investigation into Hillary Clinton or to Joe Biden or to Barack Obama, who, by the way, was briefed on Crossfire Hurricane and did know that Hillary Clinton was laundering phony information into the intelligence community? He didn't do that, in part because guess what? He was doing his job as commander in chief, following the Constitution, following the law, and then he was subjected to abuses of the investigation process of the FISA courts. And he was subjected to that, all while trying to do his job as commander in chief. Listen, I'm surprised he did the job that he did. It was so good considering all the pressure that he was under. So you got to have somebody who just has no fear, who's not afraid, will go in there and say, nope, you're gone. Nope, you're gone. We're restructuring this. Here's how we're doing that. And let's keep moving.
Hey, why do you think Trump lost?
Honestly, because you had the Democrats who were changing election laws in key counties and key states in the fourth quarter of a game. Look, again, we use sports analogies a lot because it's just a way to make it seem good. This is like the first three quarters. We talked about hand checking. Well, the first three quarters, the referees are calling it by the book. Then in the fourth quarter, they say, yeah, it's okay to clothesline the guy. It's okay to clothesline drivers. It's okay to just elbow guys in the paint. It's okay to push and shove. It's okay to hand check. It's a completely different game. And if you don't go in knowing that the game is going to be changed, for the first 2 to 3 minutes, you're looking at the referees complaining like, hey, man, what's going on? Why aren't you calling that? Why aren't you calling that? In high school basketball, 3 minutes go by, shoot, the fourth quarter's already over. It's only 8 minutes. That's what happened in the 2020 elections. The Democrats were in court. They were pressuring local officials to change the rules for how you conduct elections in the fourth quarter of the election process. They were in court in August. They were in court in September getting emergency rule changes. And they basically, to open up the field to a degree it's never been opened, by the way. And that's what happened, I think, in 2020. And it's wrong because election rules are set by state legislatures. They shouldn't be set by courts. They shouldn't be set by local agencies. And they use COVID as the fear tactic in order to do so. And I think that's really what happened in 2020.
I think you're absolutely right. Hey, I really enjoyed this. I hope you'll come back.
Oh, of course, anytime. Listen, it's great to mix sports and politics because politics can be kind of wonky. Sometimes it can be really boring. But I think that, what people really want to hear is just common sense. And you guys do a great job with that. I'd love to be back anytime.
And I hope you're vice president. And then I hope you're president. So that's my hope. There you go, man. I do.
All right.
I do. I love following you, and I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for the time today.
All right, listen. Thanks, Coach.
There he is, Byron Donalds, who is fantastic. I knew he would be. I mean, that's simple. He's just great. He's terrific. And all you got to do is give him a follow. You can agree or disagree. That's what you're supposed to do. Politics, you're supposed to agree. Maybe you disagree. I don't know. But I do know this, at least he speaks with common sense. At least he speaks the truth, at least as he sees it. Now you tell me, did there seem to be a phony bone in his body? Of course not. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Dylan. Thanks, Ryan, for getting that set up. That was fun. Now, I got to tell you, that was fun. Just, look, you can disagree with me all day. You can disagree with him all day. That's cool. That's part of it. But at least, ladies and gentlemen, you heard somebody with conviction and common sense and an attention to what happened. I get it, guys around here know this, that, but that's what the YouTube chat is for. That's why we have the greatest YouTube chat on the internet, because people argue about it. People say no. People say yes. People say, hey, I loved him. People say I didn't. That's great. That's what we want. That's exactly